Yo everyone, Mercurial here. Today I'm gonna do something pretty cool. I'm gonna go through this guy's double up guide. He's a rank 1 double up in Japan and made a guide on it. I haven't really seen any high rank guide on double up, so it was really cool. And yeah, the guide is really good. So wanted to go through it quickly and yeah, just explain everything because I think double up's really fun, and if more people took it more seriously, I think it would be cool. Especially now that Double Up is soon getting a big upgrade apparently, according to Riot and Mortdog. So yeah, we have stuff to look forward to with Double Up, and we should learn how to play it. Okay, let's see. Yep, he's from Japan. I mean, this is just introduction. 80% top 4 rate and 50% top 1 rate through 120 games. Yeah, I'll write this in as much detail as possible what I was conscious of. This is not a composition guide, but a guide to made itself, or yeah, made for double up. So I won't go into compositions much. There's one thing to keep in mind, however, and that is that you will need some knowledge of the game. Yeah. Okay, TFT. Of course, yeah. Long article, and yeah, he always sees rank, not any fake. Beasting a ton, like basically just top 2ing every time, which is top 4 in TFT. So yeah. Differences from normal mode. Like normal TFT, in Double Up, 100 HP is shared between 2 players. After battle, the winning player can send remaining pieces to the other player as a reinforcement. After third stage, players can send each other gifts in the 5th and 6th rounds. Another notable feature is that players can send this just he's gonna explain this basic stuff, but it's gonna get a lot more deep and interesting later on. But if you don't know double up, for sure listen here at the start as well. Another notable feature is that players can send each other 1 to 3 cost pieces every 5 rounds in the second and third stages, and all pieces every 7 rounds from the 4th stage onwards. This is very important. Yeah. In normal mode, players can only reroll or purchase pieces in one shop, but in Double Up, players can tell each other which pieces they want before rerolling, so they can effectively reroll 10 pieces in the shop. In other words, the number of accidents such as, oh, I lost out on a low roll again, what a pain, is greatly reduced, and the probability of drawing a 5 cost piece you want at level 8 is simply doubled. So keep these things in mind when playing. Below, we will unravel these elements one by one, starting with the most important ones. Regarding the early stages. In TFT, the progression in the early stages is very important. There is no difference about that in Double Up. However, in this note, I will not talk about this piece is strong or this progression is strong. People are better than me have already written useful notes, so please refer to them. So yeah, it's like similar to normal TFT in that regard. Here I will write about some pattern progression in the early stages in Double Up. So there are 4 different patterns. 1. Both you and your partner have strong boards and each win 5 games in a row. 2. Either you or your partner create a strong board and one of you win 5 rounds in a row, while the other prioritizes interest. Number 3. Both of you maintain a decent board to some extent and prioritize interest. And number 4. Both of you lose 5 rounds in a row. And this one is very high risk. The ideal is, of course, 1, that both of you win streak. But if you could do that every game, it would be a pain. Yeah, I mean, you can't do that every game. So what should I do? Should you base your progress on? I think it's very important to match your partner's strength in the early stages of Double Up. This is because Double Up has a system called reinforcements. So when you win a round, your board will reinforce your teammate's board. And in the extreme, even if your board is in a state where you're clearly losing 5 rounds in a row, if your partner has created a really strong board, there is a chance that you can win 5 rounds in a row with the help of your partner. So when you create your own board, you need to consider the state of your partner's board. If your partner's board is strong and yours is not, you can secure interest while making items or stacking vanguard pieces to buy more time for the battle. Okay, sentinel pieces to buy more time for a battle. And call in reinforcement to hopefully win consecutive games. So yeah, if you're lose streaking, it might be a good idea to buy like sentinels and stall as much as possible so you get the reinforcements if your partner is strong. Or even if you lose, you can conserve your HP because the number of your opponent's pieces will be reduced. Since you are playing with 2 people, there are quite a few situations where one of you can create a strong board. And if you use the small loyalty rune, the thing that you send units with, to give your ally a 3-cost piece to help reinforce the board, it will be even easier to win. So be sure to ask them what pieces they want in the early stages. And in Double Up, the amount of HP you have is directly related to the strength of the board later. As mentioned above, in Double Up, 2 people can reroll 10 chops, so the value of the reroll is simply doubled, since you can send over the pieces. So if you reroll at level 9 and make a power play by stacking and throwing the pieces your partner wants, you can super strengthen not only your own board, but also your partner's. So it's nice getting to the high levels, since it's not only good for you with these high cost units, but also for your partner. However, HP is essential to reach level 9. Here we return to the story of the early game. If either you or your partner is likely to have a strong board state from the beginning, you can send reinforcements and have them come and go by actively strengthening the board. And the person who made a lose streak progression will give back the money they saved up to their partner later. You can see in TFT why the character for person is made up by people supporting each other. What? I don't get that sentence, but yeah. However, there's one thing to be careful of here. If the strongest board state in the lobby exists other than yours or your partner's, it is often more profitable to quietly take interest. When you think you are the strongest in the lobby, there are many times when the strongest in the... Wait, yeah, okay, when you think you're really strong, there are many times that someone else in the lobby is stronger. So no matter how strong you or your partner are, if there's someone stronger than you, reinforcements will be sent and your winning streak will be broken. If there's someone at the lobby who is open, the person with the strongest board kills them and sends reinforcement as quickly as possible and will be beaten by the difference in numbers. Okay, I have had many experiences where I spent too much money on a winning streak. Reinforcements came even though I had a strong board state and I couldn't win 5 rounds in a row and I ran out of money. Okay, so like you can't try to win streak too much and use too much gold. Since like even if you're really strong, if your opponents are kind of strong, like they will get reinforcements quickly probably, and it will be easy to lose the win streak. So you can't like waste too much money unless you're really strong. Even in normal mode, it is important to check the strength of those around you. But in Double Up, it is easier to balance your HP and money if you take into account the combined strength of the board for both players. About comp selection. Unlike normal mode in Double Up, there are 2 people in one team, so there tends to be less overlap in compositions. As an aside, I've heard of fights when playing together and the compositions overlap. It's scary. Okay, yeah, you don't want fights with your partner. So, what kind of composition should you choose? Of course, there are strong composition and 8th place compositions depending on the patch. So, playing according to the meta to a certain extent is no different in Double Up. In addition, there are 3 important points that are unique for Double Up. Number 1, choose a composition that does not overlap with your partner. Or, overlap with Sentinel. So maybe, yeah, both don't play Sentinel. Avoid choosing a composition with a slow battle pace as much as possible. And 3, place importance on compositions with strong upside factors. So compositions with some kind of big high roll potential. Yeah, here are some specific examples of showing how a composition does not overlap with the Vanguard. Okay, so about the first point, why you should not play Sentinels, both of you. So here we have the first board, the Reroll Sentinel board. It looks pretty strong. There are 2 frontline cards stacked up on top of each other, and the backline Vex has an item. So anyone who sees it will think this is a Rebel comp. Meanwhile, let's look at the other side's board. So we have 2 Sentinel and 3 Academy. The Academy item is IE. This also looks like a strong board for 2-1. I'm thinking of using Sentinel Academy as the final board, as it seems to be progressing with Academy and Sentinel. Both of us have 5 consecutive wins in 2 stages, so it looks like we're doing well. Or, yeah, 5 consecutive wins in 2, what is it? Yeah, stages. No, yeah, stages. What did I think? That was wrong. But but if this happens, you'll definitely be in 8th place. You may not be able to win the second. You may be able to win the second and third stages, but if you continue to build this board like this, your frontline main tanks will overlap with Ilaoi, who is Sentinel. So you will both fight for each other's pieces, and neither of you will hit Ilaoi. So you will end up losing in the 4th stage, and you will end up in a lower position. Of course, it is important to declare your composition to your partner, but try to choose a composition that does not overlap as much as possible when using pieces. If it looks like you will overlap, look at the other player's composition and decide that you'll both overlap. It is still manageable if it is up to 2 people. Or have the one with better conditions hold out with their composition and the other give in, which will reduce accidents. However, it is not a big problem in the composition if the composition includes Elise. Either way, that piece will be fought over by 50 million people. Yeah, kind of true. You're not really expected it, at least 2. But in general, with other units such as Ilaoi, it's often really important getting the Ilaoi too, so you just gotta make sure in general to not be contesting each other as much. Even from early game, if you're looking for like Sentinel opener, like it's often gonna go towards Sentinel late game, so you gotta think about it like that as well. Not only the specific comp. And then the best thing is for one of you to take an augment that allows you to decide your composition in the first move. Double Up has a strong upside factor, so I think hero type augments are basically insta picks. I think that's what it means here, but hero type. But yeah. However, if 2 people decide on a specific composition, there is a chance of accidents. So it is better for one person to decide on a composition and the other to think of several possible compositions. Yeah. So okay, he recommends one person decide early and the other stay more open, and I guess choose depending on the lobby, because it's gonna vary a lot and it's important to not be too contested at Double Up. Next, try not to choose a composition that has slow pace of battle. This is relatively easy to understand, but because Double Up has a system called reinforcements, composition that have a slow pace of battle are basically at a disadvantage. I have had countless experiences where I thought I was about to win, but then an impossible number of reinforcement came and I ended up losing. Specifically, a composition that prolongs battle is one with one carry. Okay, so he recommends having more than one carry as like rule of thumb. Even if they win, the reinforcements don't have that much firepower, and your partner's reinforcements are sent before you can head to the reinforcements, so you end up losing. Of course, playing a composition that meets the conditions will increase your final chance of winning, but it's best not to choose a composition that prolongs battles as much as possible. So, for example, Seri and Twitch. And yeah, and other sets as well. If you're watching this in another set, like basically Rageblade carries are what am I doing? But yeah, basically Rageblade carries are a very easy example of slow compositions. Personally, I think Rebel is pretty strong in normal mode, but in double up, there are practically no reinforcements, so I don't want to play it much. Even if Jinx goes to a reinforcement to win the battle after firing her third skill, she can't do anything. Yeah, that is pretty true. Like, if she goes over to reinforce, she won't do her big skill. And also, if the opponent reinforces and your Jinx is already ulted, like, you won't really do much after that. So, really good tip, I think. Finally, about choosing a composition with strong upside. I think the most fun part of TFT is the moment when you create the strongest board and completely crush your opponent. Yes, the game mode called Double Up, which is godly genius, allows you to recreate that with a reasonable probability. Compositions that require you to draw a specific 5-cost card are unrivaled in Double Up. I was playing Enforcer in normal mode with excitement, but I couldn't draw Caitlyn and ended up with an 8th place. Even after such a bitter experience, I couldn't resist the overwhelming power when completed, and the sweet temptation of unilaterally crushing my opponent. So I played Enforcer again. Have you experienced this? But I usually don't draw her. Caitlyn is shy. But in Double Up, I can draw her, because there are two of them. Yes, the composition that becomes strongest when upside is in tier 1. Okay, but yeah, there are two of them because your your ally can also send over a Caitlyn, so it is basically double the odds of hitting the Caitlyn, which is super good for Enforcer. Like, if you don't know, Enforcer basically plays around the Caitlyn, so yeah. Between you and me, Conqueror and others fall into that category. I don't see anyone playing Conqueror in normal mode because the conditions are too strict. You can make a winning board by playing Conqueror 4 from the beginning and snowball it all the way to level 9 or 10. That is basically impossible in normal mode since you need to hit so much. But it happens like 1 in 100 games. However, in Double Up, you can send pieces to each other, so you can force a power spike in the early, middle, or late game. That's why I think Conqueror is strong in Double Up. Of course, if you rub every game, you'll definitely be in 8th place, so be careful. But this is just a matter of being easier to do than in normal mode. Okay, yeah, so you can't just force it every time, but if you have a start for it or so, like, it's gonna be a lot better with Conqueror and Double Up since you can send over units and, like, for example, if you hit like a Swain too, it's actually really, really big in this comp. And and also, of course, the Mordekaiser is super important, so late it's also really good. I've mentioned specific configurations such as Enforcer and Conqueror, but I think you should actively aim for a configuration that has a strong final form, not just these. If two people go all in on level 8 in 4-2, one of them will usually draw some kind of 5-cost card. So I think economy augments has a higher value in normal mode, considering that you're also looking at... economy augments have a higher value than in normal mode, considering that you're also looking at level 9. Yeah, so if you get to level 9, it's really big because you can also... It's not only your economy, basically, but you're also helping your opponent's economy. And yeah, you can get like the legendaries and send them over and stuff. So it can be really good. About reroll configuration. Since you can send over pieces to each other in double up, isn't reroll composition strong? I think everyone thinks so. Personally, I can't say for sure, but that's the answer. At least I think it's better not to play with two people rerolling and compressing pieces. Of course, since you can send the pieces you want, the composition is completed faster than normal mode. However, in double up, your health is less likely to decrease unless both players lose. I don't know the formula, sorry. Compared to normal mode, and even if you are hit with a score that exceeds your current health, you will have 1 health left and you will be given 1 grace period before you die. So it is easy for the other players to have an upside to the board. If that happens, the reroll composition will not be able to compete at all and will be beaten. So basically, he's just saying that people will get stronger. And you also have like the grace period after you die. Like if you die, you will be at 1 HP. So you have like an extra turn. And yeah, in general, you will get more econ augments and everything. So even if you hit with a reroll, you might like be too weak. If that happens, the reroll composition will not be able to compete and be beaten. Furthermore, even if the final form of the reroll composition contains a 5-cost piece, it will usually lose to a composition with multiple 4 and 5-cost pieces. Therefore, my view is that the tier of reroll compositions will be lower than in normal mode. However, the only exception is the hidden player. The battle speed is very fast and it's easy to help your partner win with reinforcements. So you can help them win consecutive rounds and create the strongest board state. It will eventually help you out. Or even if you lose, you will often win due to a difference in final HP. So yeah, one reason to maybe go reroll anyways is that you can hit a big power spike and really help your ally, and then later on your ally will help you. Then timing of sending pieces. The minor loyalty rune is the thing to send over pieces. It's distributed in 1, 2 and can be used every 5 turns, while the loyalty rune can be used every 7 turns. So the small one where you can send over small units or like low cost, and the bigger one send over more expensive as well. As a detailed specification, if you use the minor loyalty rune before the 4th stage, it will be returned after 5 turns even if it evolves into the loyalty rune. So when should you use it? Basically, the conclusion is that it's better to use it when you can, since the cooldown time for flash in League of Legends is 5 minutes. If you flash it every time you can use it 8 times in a 40 game minute, which is the theory I like. It may seem stupid, but it is good to play the game according to this theory. If you send as much as you can in the first half of the second and third stages, it will come back later anyways. The decision of whether to split the interest depends on the strength of your partner and the state of your own board. But if you can, send it as much as you can. In the end, it will come back to you for your own benefit. However, one thing to be careful about is to not send it in the second half of the third stage unless you are using a reroll configuration. And the reason for this is that in starting from the 4th stage, it will evolve into the loyalty rune and you will be able to send all pieces from 4 to 6 cost. If your partner is playing a high cost composition instead of reroll, when you draw a core piece for the composition, you will feel awkward because you will not be able to send it for a while because you do not have a loyalty rune. You only have the smaller one. Or yeah, you don't have any because you use it late in stage 3. In fact, the number of pieces will be deducted from the pool while you're keeping the pieces your partner wants. So you will unintentionally cut your allies' pieces. This is quite awkward. If you send a piece on 3-6 or 3-7, you will not be able to send a piece until the latter half of the 4th stage, and your partner will not be able to overlap with the carry, and you may also be at a disadvantage because of the reinforcements. In the first half, I strongly emphasize that you should use it when you can, but please use it carefully. Gifts for your partner. After a 3rd stage, you can give each other gifts on the 5th and 6th rounds. However, these gifts consume money. If you are stingy, your partner will dislike you, so unless you are really short on money, send them what they want. However, you may send or receive cheap items strategically. The criteria is whether or not you or your partner have a cheap composition. If you have a composition that does not cost money, your final stage tends to be weaker than others. So if you are aiming for first place, you will clearly have to make yourself or your partner the carry. Send them the pieces that they want and give them expensive things to make them feel good. They will probably invite you to the next level up. I wrote this jokingly, but it's all true. If you accept cheap items and do not burden your partner, they will rush to reinforce you. Specifically, one of them should have a sentinel or bruiser composition, and the other should have a high cost composition that assumes a level 9 with a lot of room for growth. It takes advantage of the theory that it's better to not have a composition that takes a long time to fight. Just endure as long as you can with a cheap board and create the strongest possible deck. So basically, if one of you is weak, you can look to play some really tanky comp and tank a lot, and then only request a small gift. And you give your friend a bigger gift, and they are like the strong person that can kill their opponent and then reinforce you with your tanky comp. Yep. And then lastly, this article is based on the patch 13.5. The meta of TFT changes rapidly with each patch, so it may no longer be useful for specific configurations, but I think it will be useful to some extent as long as the double up specifications themselves do not change. I really like the fun of playing TFT with friends, which was basically a solo game, and the fact that you can share the joy of winning with others. Okay, yeah. I mean, he's saying he loves double up. And yeah, I can definitely agree, and even more agree that I think that actually 4v4 is the best TFT format. So if you like 4v4 and 2v2, make sure to tell that to Mortdog. It's very important. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to support the guide maker, you can go to the link in the description and tip here. Otherwise, have fun and go win some double up and maybe impress your friends. See you next time. Peace.